Fire Emblem first made its Western debut in the form of Super Smash Bros. Melee. The game, released in 2001, showed us two key characters, the fast, agile, blue-haired, gorgeous swordsman Marth, and the more slow and clunky redhead Roy. As a young boy deeply obsessed with Star Wars and all things fantasy, like Final Fantasy, seeing these two sword-wielding characters piqued my interests, immediately being saddened by the fact that they came from the video game franchise Fire Emblem, which hadn't yet seen a Western release. I hoped and dreamed of the day I'd finally get to see these characters again. Fast forward to 2003 and I see in a Game Informer magazine, yes, magazine, because the internet wasn't clearly or nearly as big as it is now, that a Fire Emblem game was coming to the GBA. Little baby Andrew was over the moon with excitement. Even though I really didn't know what the game was about, besides the little bit I had read in Smash Bros. And in a Game Informer magazine. By some happenstance, I found myself grabbing a copy of the game and instantly falling in love and becoming a huge fan of the series. For years, I followed the games closely and literally grew up playing them and continue to play them to this day. There was a small drop for me when I did actually fall out of the series with Fates, but seeing the trailer for Fire Emblem Three Houses at the 2018 E3 literally made me feel like a kid again, rediscovering the franchise through Super Smash Bros. It wasn't long after, in 2019, when the game released, that I would end up being extremely disappointed. Fast forward 3 years after its launch, and I can confidently say that Fire Emblem Three Houses is easily my favorite Fire Emblem entry, and also in my top 5 favorite Nintendo Switch games. What's going on, everybody? It's me, AndyB. Let's talk all about Fire Emblem Three Houses, what I think about it, what I like about it, what I dislike about it. For some reason, it took me years to finally be able to sit down and actually play through and beat this game. I tried more than once, I've tried more than twice, I've tried more than 3 times, and unfortunately, it took a very long time for me to finally understand and grasp the beauty and just genius of this game. I remember getting the game and playing it on normal mode and with permadeath on, thinking it was way too easy and just constantly just thinking that I was better than it and all these different things. And it really wasn't until this last couple of months when I saw the trailers for Three Hopes, the new Fire Emblem Warriors game, that I got really excited to go back and play through Three Houses. And I'm so glad that I did, because I sat down and finally just mustered through it, beat it. I put over 60 hours in like 2 weeks, which is pretty huge for someone like me, considering I don't have all the time in the world to play video games. But once I started understanding and getting it, I just could not put the game down. I played it through hard mode with permadeath on my first playthrough with Edelgard and the Black Eagles, and just instantly fell in love. And I was like, okay, I have to keep going. I have to keep playing these games because this game is so awesome. And when I saw that Three Hopes was gonna kind of incorporate a lot of what was happening in Three Houses, I knew that I was going to be lost if I picked up Three Hopes right off the bat and just didn't know what was going on, so I knew that I had to play it. But with that out of the way, let's dive directly into this review. Fire Emblem Three Houses has you play as the main character Byleth, who is traveling with their father Geralt. You end up running into 3 students from the Officers Academy of Garagmach Monastery: Edelgard from the Black Eagle House, Prince Dimitri from the Blue Lions, and leader of the Golden Deer Cloud. You help them fight some mercenaries and find out that they are all heirs to the respective kingdoms and students under the Church of Seiros. After you ward off the mercenaries, you learn that your father used to be a knight for the church, and they ask you to be a teacher and help guide and shape the students. You then pick up one of the 3 houses, and the game unfolds from there. After you become a teacher and pick your house, you can start exploring the monastery. This whole thing is almost like a hub. You've got different quests you can do there and talk to different students to help grow their support levels like in previous Fire Emblem games. In the monastery, you have a teacher level, and the higher the level, the more things you get, like better weapons at weapon shops, more quests, and more money from the church for activities. It's super important to try and grow your support levels and teacher levels so that you can optimize your characters the best you can. The game follows a calendar week to week, and you do different activities during those weeks. At the start of the weeks, on Monday, you get to instruct your characters. This is where you get to decide which type of class each unit will be and how you can help them grow. You can also use this time to change your unit class by having them take certification exams if their attributes are high enough, which will allow the unit to upgrade to the next rank in that class. It's super in-depth, and every character can change and be whatever you want them to be. Although, each character does excel in certain traits, you can still have them be all Pegasus Knights if you truly wanted them to be. The calendar also allows you to take on battles and paralogue missions that allow you to gain extra experience before tackling the main story missions. These paralog missions also add some backstory to other characters and help raise their support levels. Combat is just about exactly the same in this game as it always has been. Top-down view of your character and enemy units that are controlled one by one like a giant game of chess. A new feature though that they've added was the combat arts. This is really a cool inclusion that adds new abilities that units can use during battle. Kind of helps you if you're battling against, like, if you're using like combat lance, for example, it's like a better lance attack. And then there's like armor breaker, stuff like that. Just, you know, just different types of attacks you can use on different types of enemies to kind of give you an advantage. Like I know, for example, Byleth at one point gets one that is really good against monsters, which comes in pretty big handy if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. They've also added battalions that you can use to help during battles, and even a new feature called Divine Pulse that allows you to rewind time. It only has a few uses though during the battle, but it's extremely helpful when playing on hard mode, especially with permadeath on. The game gets super unforgiving towards the end, and you'll be happy to have the Divine Pulse. This game is a story that really captivated me and had me hooked the entire way. I won't go super into detail, but there are a lot of twists and turns that I definitely wasn't expecting. The game basically at one point becomes an anime, and I'm not gonna lie, it's extremely really cool and rad. You can tell that the voice actors really put in some serious work and they cared a lot about the characters they were playing, because it's honestly some of the best voice acting in a video game ever, right alongside The Last of Us. Each house follows the same story, but then branches off at a certain point and takes you on their own individual ending. Personally, my favorite was the Black Eagles. Watching Edelgard grow and develop into the character she is at the end of the game was such a fun and wild ride full of emotions. There are multiple parts of the storyline that literally left me speechless and even made me shed a tear or two. It is very, very good. All in all, this game is very, very, very amazing. There is so much more that I could say about the game, but I don't want to go super in depth because, first off, the game's been out for over 3 years now, so a lot of you have probably already played it, and this is just a guy rambling on the internet about what he liked about it. But I truly believe this is one of the best Nintendo Switch experiences. In fact, it's probably one of the best JRPG/strategy RPG experiences of all time, and definitely my new favorite Fire Emblem game, which is funny because if you go back and listen to some of my old videos and even some old podcasts that I've been on with like Babylon and Big Boy Little Boy and stuff like that, I actually didn't really like this game for a really long time, and I talked a lot of crap about it, and I'm really mad at myself for just never actually sitting down and giving it the proper chance it deserved, because the whole Monastery part of the game where you're running around and doing stuff like that, I just wasn't a big fan of that. But then it's funny because that ended up growing on me a lot, and you do certain activities like fishing, and you can sing in the church choir, and there's even a specific chapter, I think it's like chapter 11 or 12, 13, somewhere in that area, where you actually go and you can do like a dance competition, and one of the characters, Flame, if you do it very well and you win, she becomes a dancer, which is like a secret class, and it's really cool because there's so many different types of things like that that are sprinkled throughout the game that on the base level you don't know about until you play it more and more and more. And this game really focuses on replayability because, like I said earlier in the review, there's 3 different storylines. They all kind of coincide together and end in like the same way, but the way they get there is what's really, really interesting and captivating. And like I said, the Edelgard storyline legitimately left me speechless. There was moments of that game where I was just like, I can't believe this is the storyline. I can't believe this is happening. I haven't been that captivated since like Final Fantasy games, you know? Like it's so fun to just sit and just zone out. And I know a lot of people do that with a lot of different games, but for me, Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of those games now that I just completely zone out and love and just want to sit down and play. I still need to finish Dimitri's storyline, and I'm going to do that here soon before Three Hopes comes out, but by the time you're watching this, Three Hopes is probably already out, and I've probably already put in some hours, which I guess there's a demo for it. I didn't know. So I'm probably going to download that right after I finish recording this. But for those of you who don't know, there's also rumors of a new Fire Emblem game coming out, but we're not going to go super in depth on leaks and stuff like that. I just want to wrap this up real quick by just saying Fire Emblem, oh my gosh, I'm tired. Fire Emblem New Hopes, no. Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of the best Nintendo Switch experiences, and if you own a Nintendo Switch and you haven't played this game, I really think you should give it a shot. I'm honestly going to give this game a perfect 10 out of 10. I know that's kind of crazy, and a lot of people are going to give me some hate for that if they hear this and watch this, but I truly believe that it is one of the best Nintendo Switch games. It is a literal masterpiece from the ground up, which is so crazy for me to just talk and say out loud because of what I felt about the game years ago. And it's just proof that sometimes you really do need to just sit and play it and just stick it through and get past a certain point before you really make that judgment. And I'm currently, with this new mindset that I have, if you've also been watching my content for a little while, you'll know that Breath of the Wild is actually one of my least favorite Zelda games. And with this new mindset that I have where I'm gonna stop judging games only a couple hours in, I'm really just kind of forcing my way through, because I want to kind of grasp and understand why everyone thinks that game is so good, and why game journalists literally gave that game a perfect 10 out of 10 instead of something like Fire Emblem 3 Hopes. I keep saying 3 Hopes, 3 Houses, because to me, I think Fire Emblem 3 Houses is a much better game than Breath of the Wild could ever be. But hey, you know what? That's video games. We all have our opinions. We all have our thoughts. We love these things. We love those things. But let me know down in the comments below what your favorite Fire Emblem game is. Do you like 3 Houses? Are you excited for 3 Hopes? And what about those leaks that came out? Are you excited for those? Because honestly, there isn't really much to go off of, but I will take new Fire Emblem games all day long. So thank you guys so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Make sure you play Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Bye.